Sorry, cat has been all over me today. We'll catch up with the Iran war first, because that's going to be probably the quickest little segment here. Um, Iran war says Russia provided Iran with information that can help Tehran strike U.S. military. So Russia is throwing their hat in the ring. This is very big. Evidence said deadly blast by Iranian school is likely a U.S. airstrike. U.S. attack on Iranian warship did not violate international law. There we go. Russia has provided Iran with information that helps Tehran strikes, AP sources say. Other assets in the region, according to two officers or officials familiar with the U.S. intelligence on the matter. The people who are not authorized to comment publicly on the sensitive matter spoke on the condition of anonymity, cautioned that the U.S. intelligence had not uncovered that Russia is directing Iran on what to do with the information. Still, it is first indication that Moscow sought to get involved with the war that U.S. and Israel launched on Iran a week ago. Russia has tightened its relationship with Iran as it looked for badly needed missiles and drones to utilize in its four-year war against Ukraine. Tehran, meanwhile, has been isolated for years over its nuclear program and sought and support a proxy group, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, who have wreaked havoc in the Middle East. Russia joining it. It's another Vietnam. Like I said, it is another Vietnam.
Enjoy top-tier VPN.
I don't care. Chat, somebody send me a fucking ad blocker, please.
Welcome back to CBS News 24/7. I'm Mugo Odigwe. No deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. That is a new warning from President Trump this hour. And that message comes...
I didn't even see that. Yep, Trump unconditional surrender.
As Israel announces a new phase in the joint war, heavily bombing Tehran and Lebanon overnight. And Iran, for its part, continues to hit back with missile and drone fire across the Persian Gulf. Meanwhile, there's new
What's your
video
favorite film?
from the U.S. Central
I'll
Command
answer that in a
say
question,
shows
cheese.
Iranian targets being, quote, decimated by U.S. forces. The new push from the U.S. commander of CENTCOM, who's leading the charge in the Middle East, is to raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industry. Let's bring in CBS News Pentagon reporter Eleanor Watson. Ellie, before we get to what we heard from the admiral, you have some breaking news on Russia's potential involvement in this conflict?
Yeah, Mugo, multiple sources tell CBS News that Russia is providing Iran with information about U.S. positions in the region. A partnership between Iran and Russia is not necessarily new. We saw Iran provide hundreds of Shahed drones, the type of drones it makes to Russia for Russia to use in Ukraine. But so far in this war, this is the first involvement of some sort of Russian information, and that brings in another party into this war that does threaten to expand.
Yeah, and now let's go back to the U.S. looking to, quote, raise or level Iran's ballistic missile industry. What is the next phase in this war?
Yeah, it sounds like the military is now not just focused on destroying Iran's current missiles and launchers, but focusing on not allowing them to make any more missiles. Admiral Cooper, in a briefing yesterday, said that the next phase will focus on, as you said it, leveling or raising Iran's ballistic missile production. Already, he said the U.S. has targeted hundreds of missiles and launchers, as well as sunk 30 Iranian Navy ships, another objective the military has in this ongoing campaign. In that same update, Secretary Hegseth said even though Iran hopes that the U.S. cannot sustain this war, the U.S., in his words, has enough offensive and defensive weapons to fight for as long as it takes. But as we were talking about before, it's not just the U.S. who has to worry about how long this fight goes on, but it's also the countries being targeted by Iran in retaliation. Admiral Cooper gave that number, the 12 countries have been targeted, and that includes some countries that CBS reported yesterday do have concerns about dwindling interceptor missiles to stop incoming Iranian attacks.
Yep, and Israel's Iron Dome shot itself. World's largest aircraft carrier, General R. Ford, moved from the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea, transitioning Suez Canal on Thursday. Aircraft carrier was ordered to the region from the Caribbean Sea mid-February. It has been operating in the Eastern Mediterranean for the opening day of the war with Iran. It is unclear if the destroyers accompanying the ship also transited the canal. That's what I was looking for. We saw a pretty big tank in oil prices yesterday. Whew. It's a good downslope on oil prices. Gas is going to get a lot more expensive. Gas is going to get much more expensive. Fears Iran war and spillover will divert desperately needed aid from other contacts or under other conflicts. Yes, it will. Yeah. Oil prices rose above $90 for a fucking barrel. Damn. Pain at the pump has followed closely behind, raising 34 cents in just 1 week to the national average of $3.32 per gallon. Energy prices took off almost immediately after the U.S. and Israel launched attacks on Iran. Unconditional surrender. October 2023, which is when we had more conflict in the Middle East. See, this unconditional surrender portion is why I'm saying that the U.S. wants regime change. They clearly want regime change. It's so obvious. I mean, the only thing that I could say, like, potentially is decent out of this is that, like, holy shit, any MAGA supporter who's defending this is being socially ostracized like fucking crazy. This is a social annexation of conservatives because it's a disease and it needs to be rooted out. A new survey came out as well about different countries around the world. In the U.S., holy shit! Granted, you can't see the political alignments of like Republicans thinking Democrats are bad or liberal or conservatives thinking liberals are bad, but this is very not a good sign. This is a very bad social sign. Even that somewhat good being that large compared to very good is a very bad sign. Canada being over here as usual completely insane. But the US having such a low score below Turkey, Brazil, Greece, France, Italy, and all those countries, all the people there are fucking miserable. We have the largest gap by 4% too. That's a large percent from second place, second and third. And then it's just a quick drop off. This is Trump 2 people. Infinite wars, people hating each other. Evidence says deadly blast in Iranian. Yes, and then the Iranian strikes at the school. Hold on. I need this website pulled over here, but Iranian school being shot or bombed by the U.S. Explosion killed scores of Iranian students at a school that was likely caused by U.S. airstrikes that also hit adjacent compound associated with the regime's Revolutionary Guard. February 28th strike, which is the highest reported civilian death toll since the war began, has come under staunch criticism from UN and human rights monitors. More than 165 people were killed, most of them children, in the blast during school hours at the Saria Tabay Elementary School, according to Iranian state media. That's a pretty fucking direct hit on the school, too. Wow. We level a school, but the Revolutionary Guard cultural complex. Satellite images taken Wednesday reviewed by the AP show that most of the school in the city of 1100 gets south of Tehran, reduced to rubble, and a crescent-shaped punched into its roof. Experts say the tight pattern of the visible damage on the satellite photos is consistent with targeted airstrike. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Iran has blamed Israel and the U.S. for the blast. Neither country has accepted responsibility. Asked about the strike at the school at the Pentagon press briefing Wednesday, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said, "All I can say is that we're investigating that. Of course, we never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that." Israel would, Mr. Christian Nationalism. One of the launching of the assignment indicated by the U.S. military, according to the Pentagon, instructions of processes of mitigating civil harm. An assessment is launched after a group of investigators make an initial determination that the U.S. military may be or culpability. U.S. official told the AP that the strike was likely U.S. The officials spoke anonymously because they were not authorized to comment publicly on the sensitive matter. I mean, we're all going to hell together, right? Everyone's showing their political fucking values, at least. Nobody's saying, like, oh, we're all one country. It is pretty fucking dividing, a war like this. I fucking hate this country so much. This is so indicative of how Trump 2 is. This division. It's such a bad thing for the country. It's such America will become the first fourth world country. Like, red pill. I could ever see. Like, even South Korea and Germany are doing significantly better. I mean, Israel, but we're going to not count them. Kenya, Spain, Poland. We have zero culture, and all we do is bomb countries. At least zero white culture. And it all leads to this. It all leads to this. Striking a country for truly no reason. Besides Israel being insane.